About half a year ago, I made a video, a CV tutorial for beginners, and it really kind of took off a little bit. I wasn't expecting that. I just made it for my own circle of friends, but it's gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I'm going to try to take attention to the comments that you've left about the audio being an issue, so I've cranked that down quite a bit, and want to give another opportunity to follow up with a lot of the questions that I've been getting in the comments section, so we're going to talk more about CVs. Here we go. So this is the Rhine. It's the Tier 4 German CV. That I was playing in the previous video and want to walk through some of the equipment since that's what the questions were mostly focused about, and some other gameplay stuff we'll get to later. But I want to break down the equipment real quick. So when you open the equipment tab at the top of the port, you'll see that there's a range of modules that you have, and there's no upgrades available at Tier 4. The only things that you can upgrade are the actual upgrade modules, and there's a few different choices. These guys don't have any upgrades yet. That will change. I'm going to pause and shift fire real quick over to my Tier 6 to show you an example. If I pull up the Tier 6 German CV, there, bam, you can upgrade these individual modules that are with ship XP, and they provide some pretty good buffs. So a lot of you were asking about attack speed and things like that, and this is a really important way to kind of level that up. So if you're experiencing some sluggishness on, the attack window once you've entered your final attack heading, and you want to improve that, just wait. Pump the brakes, and as you progress down the CV line, some of those questions will be resolved for you. But moving on back to the Rhine, since this is a beginner's video. There's also the opportunity to upgrade some modules, and you'll notice that there's a little orange triangle next to them, and that doesn't indicate the one that I selected. It indicates the one that the game recommends that you select. It's supposed to be the meta or something like that. And I'm not really huge on meta, so I'd say take it with a grain of salt. I definitely recommend the World of Warships wiki page if you want to get some detailed information about the technical stats related to your individual ship, and to make a researched decision based on what type of upgrades that you want on your CV. That's true with any ship. In fact, I'm not going to spend the credits, and I'm not going to spend the ship XP on module upgrades or these tech tree research upgrades unless I've gone on the Wikipedia page, the World of Warships wiki page, and taken a look at the stats, and taken a look at the recommendations, taken a look at the meta, and then decided for myself, how does that fit in with the gameplay style that I want for my own vessel? Because I'm not always trying to be meta. In fact, I'm a casual gamer. It's a casual gaming channel. I want to play the style that's the most fun for me and the most compatible with the group of guys that I always play with. So that's what's important to me. But more often than not, my choice does coincide with what the game recommends. It's not always true. And so if you're running a stock ship, you can expect that it's going to be sluggish, and there'll be a significant difference in performance if you have a fully kitted out ship with fully kitted out commander skills, running all the signal flags, and something that's bare bones stock. You've just researched it, doesn't have anything special on it. It will be a pretty significant difference in performance. The signal flags, like all the other ships, some of them are particular to CVs that may be more relevant for CVs than other lines of ships. For me, I almost always take out continuous AA damage, because if I'm in a CV, there's going to be another CV, and a high probability that I'm going to be targeted by that CV, so why not? Chances of causing flooding with an aerial torpedo is very good, but chances of fire being started by a bomb doesn't necessarily apply to me, or rockets doesn't apply to me, because I have AP bombs and AP rockets in this particular ship. So understanding your ship will help you make decisions about which signal flags to take as well. This is the premium camo that I picked up when I initially got the German CVs, and that was back when they first released it in the German CV event that was, probably a couple of years ago now, and I love this camo scheme, so I never touch it, and I never mount anything else on there. I have several other CVs, the Vesser at Tier 6, the Parseval at Tier 8, which is where things kind of start to get a little bit dicey, and I'd say starting at Tier 8, the nature of CV gameplay really changes, because the prevalence of very dangerous AA on the battle space really makes you emphasize the fundamentals, and if you haven't gotten the fundamentals down and really playing conservatively with them, then you're going to struggle, and it's going to be a rough launch once you get into the late game CVs. We're not really going to talk about the late game CVs because it's a beginner channel. So I have more or less the same ships on the American line as well, and really enjoy them. Do a little bit of research into what kind of advantages each line has. The Americans, for example, have faster aircraft and things of that nature. I just love the German ships. I think they're really cool. I like the alternate history aspect of, what would it have been like if the plans for creating a German CV actually came to fruition. So since I'm kind of a history guy, I tend to go with my interest in that. But, play what you like. And if you're interested in meta, then take a look at all of the different UK, Japanese, Russian CVs and all these and see what you like the best. But this is not a meta channel, so I'm not really going to get too into it. But let's roll into a game and talk about some of the questions that we've had in the comments about CVs. Just like last time, one of the first things I do is check all the opposing side stats, and I'm running mods right now, so it's not the normal view that it'll show you, but it's a good idea to check for AA to see what kind of AA that the other ships have, and which ships you might want to stay away from and which ones you might want to focus on. I select one to check my fighters and then one again to launch. And I'm going to start with the fighters, aka the rocket fighters, because they are the fastest, and I just want to get aircraft out as fast as possible so that I can begin my first responsibility as a CV, which is reconnaissance, letting the other players know the general lineup, the general composition and strength of enemy forces, and where they are moving so that they can kind of plot their macro movements. Started on an attack run on Charleston. He seems to be sitting relatively still. Yeah, I got 2 little crits on him there, so you see that the AP rockets do pretty significant damage to the cruisers in the German line. It's very different from the other CV lines. I feel like we're starting to get a pretty good general spot of the enemy forces. You'll see that you can see the player names along with the ship names, and when the player names have those colons on either side of them, that means that they're bots. So I'm going to go ahead and come in for one more attack run on this cruiser, just because it happens to be right here, and then send out the next wave and start answering some of the questions that you guys have had in the comments. There we go, another triple crit. You see it did some pretty significant damage to the Cordoba there. I'm going to press F to return back to the CV again, and this time taking out torpedoes. Anytime you begin your final attack heading and you begin to move left or right, any movement whatsoever will dramatically open up the aperture of the torp fan. So if you want a nice and tight torp fan, you have to get into your final attack heading early enough that you can hold steady on your target before releasing. Otherwise, the fan is going to open up. I'm going to spin in now. And I try to come in at about 3 kilometers when I start my final attack heading, general rule of thumb. You see when I move, it widens out the aperture there. So I might only get 1 torpedo on that because I tried to show you. You see I also waited too long with the torpedoes. Alright, so about 3 kilometers. My running leg, I'm looking at my target. I'm going to cut in at about 3 kilometers, begin final attack heading. Orange to green. Green is ready to shoot, so it tightens up as I stop moving. And that near line represents the minimum arming distance for the torpedoes. So if you wait too long, then your torpedo just doesn't go off. Lots of cruisers on the map today, so we're going to take the rocket planes back out again. My team is completely melted, but it's a bot match, so, what do you want? I'm going to hit R and use my consumable. You can see it's called the engine cooling. And that fixes the cooldown issue that I have. Which is timely because since this guy turned into my attack, I need a good perpendicular attack to him. I need to make use of that engine boost in order to set up the attack. So timely use of your consumables and timely use of your engine boost are all extremely important for good use on CVs, and that allowed us to set up an extremely successful attack on the Kuma. Of course, he just put up fighters, so if I do nothing, those fighters are going to pursue me and shoot me down, which we'll demonstrate real quick here. Fighter aircraft consumable that he launched is now going to get it on my tail and shred my aircraft, and I'm going to be sad. It's pretty much me versus the world right now, and Kuma's trying to put some shots out on me. Honestly, if I'd taken rocket planes out again, I could probably finish him up pretty quickly, but I want to demonstrate once again. With this torpedo plane, if I move left or right dramatically, the aperture opens up into a wide fan, and I don't want that. I want a tight spread. So you see only one hit there. But let's try to finish him off pretty quick now, because we have AP rockets, and he is flat broadside in a straight line. I think about making a video covering some basic rules of World of Warships, and if there is one rule that's right up there at the top, it's do not straight line in a flat broadside. That's exactly what this pod is doing. Any human player with cognizance of what AP rockets can do to a cruiser would never allow you to broadside. So he's going to make his turn, and I'm going to try to line up my turn into my final attack heading along with his turn. So we predict his movement a little bit, and maybe we can get a decent kill. There we go. Not quite. So there I was thinking that the team was going to wipe, because we have so many bots on this match, being that it's lower tier. It's totally chaotic, and it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, because the bots are just a wild card. So we have a ways to go until our target, so I'm going to burn through my speed boost, and as the meter runs empty, hit R, and as soon as I hit R, even while the speed boost is refreshing, I can continue to speed boost through that for the duration of the consumable. Okay, let's see if we can convince this Charleston that he's making bad life choices. Alright, so we've canalized him a little bit. Now, we'll see if we can get him to give flat broadside to our opponents by putting torps off his port side. Looks like he's already committed to a hard turn, so he may not be able to evade. Yeah, there's one. And we got a flood on there, too. 3 kilometers, running leg. Quick running leg, straight into a base leg. And while I'm doing this, since my opponents are so far away, I'm going to hit M, go into the mini-map, and then move my CV straight into the enemy cap, where I know I already have a friendly Kohlberg. So, you see that this Charleston, the only remaining surface combatant left, is already, he's going dark, and so one of my responsibilities at this phase in the game is to permaspot, or to ensure that the remaining ship is continuously spotted, so that the enemy can maneuver on him or engage him if he's within range. Right. So this is a human player, and he's not willing to show me any broadside. You can see he's turning into me. And this isn't necessarily bad, because while he could be going for cap, and contesting cap with a comparatively low health cruiser, instead, I have him cutting squares out in the middle of the ocean because he knows that I can zap him with a hard broadside. So if I choose to, I can just let the clock run out this way. At this point, the Charleston's pretty annoyed with me because I'm preventing him from doing anything. He may get tired of the game and say screw it and end up heading to Cap where he can fight another surface combatant, which is what he signed up in this game to do in the first place. But it doesn't look like he's going to. And this is great because if you can keep a ship tied up like this, then while we are triple capped and gaining points rapidly with a ship disparity at the top of the screen, I mean, that's game. While it may be tempting to get more damage for yourself personally, I do also recommend to think about the team and play for the team, not yourself. We got our opportunity. And we got some overpens on there. Really didn't do that much damage. And these will be ricochets and probably no damage. Yeah, one pen, very minimal damage. Back to the torpedoes.
Ziel erreicht. Autopilot deaktiviert.
Grateful to this Charleston here for being a really good sport about being bullied by a CV the whole game. What happens next is, this Charleston makes it extremely difficult for me to get any torp runs on him, any rocket hits on him, because he's so competent in his evasion. So I finally waved off when the funniest thing happened. I ended up bumping into another CV in Cap. This guy already has me at half health, and I proceed to come in and T-bone him, where his flat broadside is directly in front of my takeoff runway, so I get planes in the air and instantly roll into final attack headings. I've got to tell you, I've never seen anything like this happen in a CV game before, so it's kind of a special treat. Just run after run here with AP rockets, torpedoes, and eventually dive bombers. And I'll be honest, I didn't see this coming. I went into Cap just trying to get away from the cruiser that I was chasing down earlier that wouldn't let me hit him, and bumped into Cap with the CV here. You seldom get opportunities to make this many back-to-back hits as soon as you take off with a CV, so being able to accumulate this kind of damage and have a climactic showdown with another CV was a lot of fun. You can see that we're getting into secondary range with one another, so we're not only just using our aircraft, but our onboard little small secondary CV artillery to shoot at one another in Cap with nobody else around. And you can see I'm the only ship left on my team, so this was downright silly and a really fun way to end a match. So this has been a really interesting CV duel, and you don't normally see this kind of thing happen, but every now and again you do get into Cap and fight another CV in close quarters. I thought that was pretty impressive. Impressive for the statistical probability, that is. You don't normally see that kind of thing happen, so it's nice to have a rare game where you get to fight another CV in close quarters. Uh, Lots of Citadel hits with this, and honestly, at tier 5, 75,000 damage is a lot of damage. If this were a tier 8 game, I would say 75k would be, I mean, that's nothing special at all, but all of the damage values are so inflated on the higher tiers that this kind of damage on tier 4 is quite a bit. Many Citadel hits. We don't need to destroy a lot of ships, although it's nice to be able to destroy them when there is a chance window that you've picked out. But we have quite a lot of Citadels, and that's what German ships are good for, especially with the AP rockets on cruisers. Landed a lot of torpedoes, and hilariously enough, we got 22 secondary battery hits on another CV, which was just pretty freaking comical. AA defense expert and high caliber, so you know what? I'll take it. I'd say that was an extremely good game, and props to the Kohlberg and Wix here, Nelson and Old Seabum, for outperforming me on that. Very well done. I'm going to give this Narthring here a thumbs up for the adversary for doing such a good job and staying alive to the end of the match. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped answer some questions for you, and if you have more, feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll get to them as soon as I can, and happy sailing.